Welcome back, everyone, to another Battleborn video and another Thorn video. I am going to move on to some other characters, but right now I'm really enjoying Thorn. I've got her up to level 12, I have everything unlocked, and now I kind of want to talk about how I would change Thorn. How would I make her better? And there's only a few points I'm going to hit on, because I think she's a fantastic character, and I really dig her a lot. But there are some options of the Helix that never seem like a good choice. And the first one here is Blight Brawler. Blight Brawler is when Thorn is touching Blight's field, her melee attacks curse enemies. So there's a few problems with this. One, when you quick melee, you knock enemies back, so you can knock them out of your Blight. So adding the curse but taking them out of the Blight isn't even necessarily a great thing. There are a lot of times where you put down a Blight and an enemy walks out of your Blight, and you quick melee them back in there. That's a thing. But then you're not in it, so you don't get that. And if you're standing in your Blight, you probably want to add curse to your arrows. So I don't see where this is useful. If you guys do, let me know in the comments. But this just seems like a bad choice to me. When you have two other really good choices, that's an unlockable one, which makes it even more disappointing. I would like to... There's a few different things that would be cool to add to it. One could potentially be cooldown reduction. One could be increase the radius of Blight. That'd be very cool. A lot of characters on AoE stuff have things like that. I don't think those would be broken. But adding this to it, just there I went to the propulsion below it. I mean, that's not even really a synergy. I mean, it just doesn't synergize with anything else in her skill tree and seems kind of odd. My dream would be add silence to it, but as you can see here, if you can add slow to it, adding silence, not that cool. Well, actually very cool, but broken. That would be too powerful. So I'm kind of back to either cooldown or increase the radius. Or you could even do that, decrease the radius, but make it more powerful. But, I don't know. I'd rather have increased radius or additional cooldown on it. And then I think it's a really good choice there for Blight builds. Once again, if you guys have other ideas here, let me know. So as I moved down here, I went back past the other two middle helixes, and they're really good. You know, adding shield penetration or the ability to add arrows, that stuff... Those are both good, valuable extra additions. I like both of those. You know, right here, shield penetration. Shield penetration is really good. This tier here, really solid. Two good choices. No complaints. You know, Blight versus Volley. Here, shield penetration, once again, even more. That's really great in PvP, but your other two options are great. Vaulting Hunter is amazing. I don't like the accuracy. And Gearbox seems to screw this up all the time, adding accuracy to snipers. Snipers don't need more accuracy. I covered this in another video. You know, Montana, good. Thorn, bad. You want to add accuracy. Galt, there's another one. Shotguns, that's what you want to add it to, not to snipers. So this one, if they added like more draw strength, maybe a quicker charge on it, or less arrow drop, and that would be a way to do it. Less arrow drop with that, although that you kind of have to adjust your shooting mid-match, which can be hard. Yeah, there's different options they could go with there other than just more accurate, because if you miss a shot with Thorn, it's usually on you, not the game. It's you not knowing where her arrows are going to go, or you just flat out missing the shot, which happens because, especially in PvP, people move pretty quick, and there's some small targets, so accuracy really just doesn't help there. But the other two choices are good. Usually go with Vaulting Hunter just for the mobility. But you don't always need that in every map and every scenario. So that shield pen really helps. This is another good choice. The distance is great in PvP, I'm learning, because so many times you hit enemies, they're trying to run away, and if you get a Blight on the other side of them, make them run through it or cut off their escape lane when they're weak. That's awesome. This tier, or the tier before the one I just skipped to, was great. Here's the problem tier. So, on the left, you have an option where your Wrath of the Wild bounces up to 5 times, doing less damage on each bounce. In theory, this sounds cool. In practice, it is not. The bouncing is really unpredictable. The bounce kind of projectile speed, I guess, is way too high. Like, it goes all over the map. And it goes so far, it rarely goes to where other enemies are. There's no, like, tracking on it where it goes towards enemies. It just kind of randomly bounces based on the... Well, it's like a pool ball. But a pool ball that you hit way too freaking hard. And nothing goes in. That's pretty much what it is. If you're in really close quarters, you can kind of make it work, but there's almost no spots where that actually happens because it can go up. Its speed is crazy, and I have some footage after this to talk about it, but I really do not like that at all. The other one, trap training. This one isn't as bad. It modifies Wrath of the Wild to stick on impact, detonating when enemies are in close range after 10 seconds. So you can kind of set up as a trap or have minions walk into it, but it's not that great. The last one, where you add a Blight field to it, is fantastic because Blight is awesome. You can add slow to it, as I am here. You can add damage to it. You can add duration to it. You can step back into it and curse your arrows or get more movement speed on it after you hit that, enemies are running away. You can run through that Blight, get more movement speed, and then chase them down and kill them. There's so many great combos for Earthrender to add the Blight field to it, and you're just adding a lot of damage because Wrath of the Wild does a lot of damage in a pretty big AoE. And then after those enemies are hitting it, they're sitting in a Blight field, and there's a good chance their Blight field has slow on it, which means they have a harder time getting away, and they're taking a dot on top of that 500 damage they just did. So, yeah, fantastic. Trap training needs to compete with that, and it doesn't. If it modified Wrath of the Wild to do more damage... maybe. But it doesn't. I guess it's supposed to make it more accurate, but to me it just seems like it's easier for them to avoid. Because that's a long time. And if it goes off after 10 seconds, if you kind of lay it out there and nothing goes in there, well, then it hits nothing again. I'd rather just have it detonate on contact and leave a Blight field behind, because it's just better. Neither one just does as much as Earthrender, and the fact that Earthrender has synergy with the rest of her tree makes it really, really hard to compete with that. If one of them maybe reset the cooldown on Volley, kind of like Arendi's ultimate resets the cooldown on Shadowfire Pillar, or one of them just reduced the cooldown of Wrath of the Wild. There's so many options here, none of them are that great. And that's kind of sad, because this game's supposed to be about good choices, and Thorn's got great choices for 8 of her 9 tiers in front of that, and you can even argue 9 out of the 9, because the one I complained about was an extra, and you still have 2 good choices there. But there's one tier where there's almost no choice. I mean, you can choose a worse option, but one option is just leaps and bounds better than the other one. So I'm going to go to some footage here, actually, of me throwing this. So you can see here, I throw it at the turret, and this is close quarters. I bounce up and down, and it, like, nothing even died. I might have killed one of those little pups, but that's it. I mean, it didn't even take out the turret. Now here's this guy. Watch this. Hit that. It doesn't even bounce up and down and finish him off. I have to kill him off with an arrow. Like, I don't even know where it went. So here I'm going to throw it at a wall. And you can kind of see it bounce. 2, 3, 4, and then off in the distance. The chances of that, if there was an enemy where my crosshairs are, it probably would have only hit them once. Because it just goes flying all over the map. That's just no good. So I'm going to throw it at this container next. Let me reset here. And throwing this. And all over the place. very little chance of that hitting a second enemy. So what it should do, as I kind of line up here, is just bounce in a straight direction unless textures change it, but just reduce the velocity of the bounce. It should just kind of bounce every 10 feet. Sadly, I'm going to say it should have worked like a bouncing Betty or a bouncing grenade, rubberized grenade in Borderlands. I never thought I would say I want that mechanic. But if it bounced more like that, you'd have a better chance of just lining it up and shooting it down lanes. I mean, you saw there, that's crazy how much it bounces. Way too much. They need to reduce that by 1,000%. Really roll it back here. In Meltdown, there's really tight lanes where all the minions are coming, and you could just roll it right through them all and hit them a bunch of times, and that could be cool. A lot of times there are Battleborn protecting and running with those minions, and you could just bounce it all the way through there and do a lot. Incursion's got a lot of tight lanes and doorways. You could send it through at choke points and do a lot of damage. But as it stands, it's kind of useless. So I really hope they fix that. And on the detonating one, if they just add damage to it, that might be enough. Because right now, it's hard to compete with the damage Blight adds to it, but also the synergy. Another thing they could do is add silence to it. But that's all I've got. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you later. Bye.